What's up you guys, I'm Eidmeister and welcome to a brand new video about learning Blender. Smash that like button and subscribe, and no, I'm just kidding, I hate those intros as well. So I just thought that my last video was too pessimistic and maybe some people got bored, so I decided to start it like that. Well, let's start then. I want to present you a technique about learning with toys. But first of all, what are toys? Well, when I'm talking about toys, I am referring to those objects made to learn Blender, not the ones that entertain children. So they are interactive exercises whose purpose is to teach techniques and prove how 3D models work. Here I have 11 exercises, and each of them has problems that I didn't know before and that ruined some models for me in the past, some stuff that I trashed and couldn't get right. This video should serve as a warning for bad practices and a troubleshoot guide for the most common imperfections that you are going to run into while modeling hard surface. So first of all, I'm gonna enable a matte cap. You see, you can enable it by clicking near the render settings on that thing and going to matte cap, clicking on the sphere and selecting that one. I like it because it's like very shiny. I have two lines. Well, that one is just a thing I wanted to show, but mainly two lines. The first one is gonna show the imperfection, and on the second one we're gonna fix it and show how they happened in the first place if necessary. Let's start with the first one. Well, here stuff is overlapping, so I made that imperfection by beveling too much. Sometimes you will get it with the bevel modifier or other stuff. So to limit it, you press on C. But if you want to go without limit, you don't activate that thing, and as you can see, you get this thing. You shouldn't overlap because it will create artifacts like this, and the program will get all confused and not know how to render it. Well, you can't really fix it except for just not overlapping in the first place. This is okay. The topology is bad, but it doesn't matter because it shades nicely. Let's run to the next one. This is a Boolean exercise. Here are my Booleans. I want to explain how they work for people that don't know how. Well, Booleans are exceptions. So in this case, let's take those away. This object exists except for that thing over there, but you can add it up, you can stack it. So this object exists except for this exception, except for that exception. So it exists except for that place, but from the exception we also make an exception. So it's like a mother told the brothers that they can eat everything except if they can eat all the candies except if they don't eat the lunch. But it's okay if they ate lunch somewhere else, like, I don't know, at their grandma or something. So they can except if the children can eat all the candies except if they didn't eat lunch, except if they ate at grandma or something. And well, this is another exception just for well, in our case it could be except if grandma didn't feed them enough. Okay, so you can make as many exceptions if you want. You just need to make sure to cover all of them, because if you don't, you see it's not enough. Well, what's wrong with our model over there? First of all, if we would, by the way, if you you need an add-on to cut easier. Otherwise you would have to enable an add-on. You go to Edit, Preferences. At Add-ons you search for Bool tool. I don't have it active because I have something that does literally the same thing, so I don't need to stack it up. Just enable Bool tool, and now that we did it, you can select the object that you want to cut with, the main object that you want to cut from, and control minus on numpad. This is very important. Don't do a minus on the above O. I mean P. Okay. So the problem over there is that it's not covering everything. You need to scale it up a bit so it covers everything. Now, if you want to make an exception over there, it's the same problem. It's not big enough. So we need to scale it up. And same for this one. Boolean, scale up. And we got exactly the same thing. This is how Booleans work. There are exceptions. You can also, like, this is not like real mesh. This is a preview because there are modifiers over there. You can apply them if you want to keep the thing. I don't want in this situation. Okay. Now, next one. So this one is about wait, I hope okay, I didn't. So this one is about shading and margins. As you can see, it looks fine except for this part and this part and this part. This is because they are beveled in a sharp way with a bevel modifier over there. To fix this, you go to Geometry and replace the miter outer with an arc. Now you see the difference. It is huge. It's so much better now. Also, the shading, it's not very smooth. It's look jagged. It's some sort of crystal. To make it smooth and nice, you go to Shade Smooth. And then there's a thing that, well, I should have fixed it on this thing actually, because this is the current thing. Okay. And then after Shade Smooth you need to apply normals, because without them they look bad. So like you go to this triangle and at normals you enable Auto Smooth to smooth only stuff that is under 30. Well, this is awkward. It worked before. Oh, it is because this one is not shaded smooth too. Now it's okay. You need to shade smooth the cutter too. Now we have another problem with this. I enable auto smooth because stuff smooths badly if they don't have this. As you can see, they shade smooth everything. You only need stuff that is under 30 degrees. I'm sorry. Okay, so now we get another problem over there, is that there's a shading problem here. This is why I enabled this matte cap, because it's so shiny and nice. You can't really fix it by modifying the geometry. It's because it's an end gun and it's a cutter, and Blender doesn't like that. So there are two ways of fixing it. If you're using a bevel modifier, you can do it easily within the modifier. You just go to Shading and Harden Normals. And if you don't have a bevel modifier, there's no problem. You can just add another modifier, which is called Weighted Normals, which does literally the same thing, just without adding any bevel to the object. And now it's shaded perfectly. This one looks like only one face perfectly arranged over there. So look at the difference. First of all, we don't have very sharp edges. They look really nice, and it is smooth. You can see how cool it looks based on the bevels, except for the jagged thing. It has auto smooth enabled, which saved it from some artifact looks, and we fixed the wrong shading by adding a weighted normal, or we can just remove it and add a hardened normal because we don't need an extra modifier. Next. So if you would have to work with spheres, you would pick the option that is easier to work with. This is an UV sphere. I added it by here, UV sphere. The problem with UV spheres is that they have triangles at the top and bottom. This is not really good. You don't want that. Usually people that work with spheres and hard surface modeling use quad spheres. What are quad spheres? Over there, I don't really know what add-on added them, but we can do them manually too. We don't need to add them like this. Quad spheres are cubes that are subdivided and then casted into a sphere. It only has four faces with four verts, no triangles and no n-gons. They are really good for working with and are not hard to make either. So first of all, you need to subdivide your normal cube. You can add the modifier, but it's easier to just use the here's the subdivision. You can just use a keystroke, which is Control 4. It's such a widely used modifier that you can enable it with a keybind. But well, it still looks like a cube almost. You can see the edges. If you rotate it very fast, you can see the form that changes form. Okay, so you go to add modifier and click on cast over deform, yeah? And move the factor up to 1. Now if you rotate it really fast, it keeps the circle look. So it is a perfect sphere, and this, well, you need to apply. It's a modifier that applies, so you can just like apply individually. Well, here we have a perfect quad sphere. Good. Let's move to the next one. This is a quad sphere that was cut using a boolean, except that this boolean wasn't applied correctly. Well, first of all, we need to scale it. You see, it's not long enough to cut everything. We need to scale it a little bit to make sure that it's longer than the object that we're cutting from. This is the same problem that we fixed over there. Well, if we would enable with Alt V the wireframe, we would see all the verts without going into edit mode. So we can change this around very easily. So we can just move it so it doesn't create a lot of problems, not many overlaps, not enough triangles or n-gons. Can do this. Also, this is obviously not enough if you want to run a bevel, because the sharp looks are not really handsome. I'm gonna disable that with Alt V. Let's run a bevel, damn it, by angle. Where's, oh, width type, oops, by angle. Also, don't forget to shade smooth and auto smooth. Okay, so we have it clamped, so it doesn't really do much. We'll disable that. And well, it will help us if we enable hardened normals. Without them it looks really bad. It fixes like all the problems. It's a magician. Here's the problem. If we go too far, it will start to create artifacts because things will overlap. We can't fix that by keeping it non-destructive, so we have to apply the boolean, this box, so we don't really need it. I'll delete it. You can hide it, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, you don't need that anymore. So now we need to clean this thing, like go over the loop by control pressing, then double press G and move them a bit. So now the bevel has enough space and doesn't have to overlap. In this case, oh, it's because of this. Also, make sure to mark arc. Oh, this is weird. It's okay for now, it's not what I want to show with this toy anyway. So we do it for the bottom part as well. I don't really know what causes this. I guess it's topology. Most probably. But it doesn't really matter right now. Do I even have a line here? I do. Weird. Looks a bit better now. Or the same, I don't know. But at least I solved the thing with overlapping. It's not that obvious. And you can increase the bevel as much as you want, as long as you're not overlapping. If you're overlapping, you will have to move verts around. Like this is the max we can go with how we worked it out. Oh, this is terrible. I use Alt X with hard ops and add-on, but you can basically just like delete half of it and first of all, before deleting, you need to make sure it has a middle point for everything. Like this. Yes, so we don't delete that face. We deleted it, now we add a mirror on the y-axis, and we don't have to do all the work twice. We fixed this boolean thing and it looks pretty okay, presentable at least. Okay, this thing. So I'm gonna present what's wrong on this model. I forgot to unite this. So I'm gonna select all the edge faces, and I'm gonna try to run a bevel. What is happening? Why doesn't it? Oh, yeah, it didn't want because I had C enabled, the non-overlap thing from before. So here's the problem. This bevel follows that line in the middle. So we need to fix the topology because we don't really want for it to follow it. We can either unite this like this and try to bevel, it will be nice enough, but we can also run a bevel here, so there are 4 squares everywhere, 4 verts. And it will also, oops, I didn't want to select that, it will also run a bevel perfectly. But the easiest part of all is to just leave it and keep the n-gons. So if we select it and bevel, oops, Control Shift B. If we bevel with Shift B, it will look like this. Well, this is the wrong example though, the wrong column, because we're supposed to fix it over this. So I want to show you the difference between an object with bad topology and on bevels, and another one with good topology, or well, no, presentable at least. So on this side we got this. Well, I'll apply a weighted normal so it shades nicely. So I run a bevel here and it is all nice, the arc looks good. But on the other side, not really, because we had this bad topology. I'll scale it to -1 just to have it from the front. I already proved how it's solved. You just either put one here or run some stuff here and make the topology quads only. And then you bevel everything except the ones on the flat planes. Here, weighted normals. Perfect. You see the difference. Here is a smooth, nice one. There is a jagged one, full of artifacts. The next one is a little bit tricky. So I had a bevel modifier hidden here. I made a lot of booleans randomly. So if I enable bevels, you can instantly see that they have problems. They overlap over here, somewhere below it. Here it's really bad. The boolean didn't like the object. Some are nice, like this one, but not all of them. So we're gonna fix this on this one. You can either decrease the power of the bevel like this, but it would mean less bevel, so the problem would be that the object looks worse. What you can do is just move the cutters around. So in this case, the only problem is that there is not enough space for it, so it overlaps because we set the bevels to be of a specific length. So we just move it in a bit and now it's perfect. You can go over there. This is an end gun. You can't really do anything. You can't move it inside because it won't fix anything. The only way for you to fix it without going destructive and editing the verts yourself is to move it around. So you can put this cut over here. Where else do I have it? Here is the most important one. It looks really bad. I have no idea what this abomination is, but I can fix this. Just maybe this is a problem. Yeah, there wasn't enough space, so they like left a little face over there uncut. What's the problem? First of all, there's not enough space there, so we need to make some. Again, they are too far from each other. I'll need to move it. In this case, it's the same thing. So by moving them around and giving them some space and making sure they are overlapping, not the mesh, but the cutters. So there is no faces that don't really know where to bevel and where to go and look bad. Now I think we have everything fixed in this exercise. Now the next one, we reached at this by beveling too much. It's not a bad thing, it's just that we didn't fix it after beveling. So what I do is, when I bevel this thing, well, I'll use clamp overlap to stop at that point. You see, shade smooth. auto smooth. The problem is that there are two verts in the same space, because when we bevel, you see, they extend from each side and then they combine in one single point. So you could leave them like this, that would be okay, but if you want to have like a spherical look, you would have to go till the end with C to clamp overlap. Now, what the problem is, I usually fix this by pressing 4, because that is my keybind for a free add-on that you can install. I only use it for this, literally. So if I go here, machine tools, here it is. You install it from the machine site. It's free, again. You only select the tools that you want. In my case, I'm not really interested in any of them except cleanup. Cleanup is by default on keymap free, which I don't like because free is the face selection in edit mode. So I changed it to 4 because I don't really use 4 for anything as far as I know. And after you installed it by downloading the zip, not unzipping it, installing the zip file, enabling the add-on, selecting cleanup from here, making it blue, going to keymap and changing the thing to 4 after enabling it. Of course, make sure that is enabled. You go back and press 4. This will recalculate the normals and merge by distance. You can also do it without the add-on. So you press M to merge and click by distance. This thing, 0.0001, decides how much you want to merge. So based on the distance, right? If you go too far, it will merge what you don't want to merge. So keep it at 0.0001 for only the ones that are exactly in the same spot to merge. Now you can move it around to make sure that they are merged. If you go into object mode, it looks nicely. You can still see my squares because I have cavity and depth of field, especially cavity, enabled, because I like to see my object sharp and nice. Now, this is the third one. This is what I use for making edges nice and round. When you want to, let's move it here. Okay, I'm gonna select those two edge loops. If you want to make it nice and round, first of all, oh damn, I should have done it before, because that's gonna look sharp. Okay, if you want to reach for that look, you first need to make it kinda like this. You can insert, but don't do it too far. As you can see, it destroys itself. Just go here, even if you don't want to go down from there, and scale like this. Then go down. Now, select those three edges and do it like this. Go at maximum, or you could do it even more, reaching this. Then clean it up. It didn't clean up everything. First of all, let's shade smooth, weighted, normal. I'm gonna remove one loop because there are two already. Double G to move it on the line. And here there are too many of them already too. If you want to put it in the middle, just loop cut and dissolve those by Control X. So if you look at it now, it's very nicely shaded. We had luck. In case it was a sphere, the cleanup tool would have dissolved it itself, but you had to clean that extra loop that was over there and here. Yes, make sure to clean up very often. Just keep the merging distance at low, so you don't want to merge, for example, if you make a very detailed bevel over there and you merge by a longer distance. Oops. Well, I'm gonna make some loop cuts. If you want to merge at a lower distance, higher distance, it will destroy it like this. It's horrible. Just keep it at 0.001. And if you want to merge stuff manually, just like move and snap. I enable snapping on verts by default in my default Blender file. You probably have by increment. I don't like that. Go to vertex, make sure it's closest, and don't align rotation to target. Like this, if you would have to screw up like this, you could easily select on the z-axis, snap, snap, snap. Perfect. This happens if you run multiple booleans on a face that you want to bevel later. So if you would go to Alt V to wireframe, this is the problem. We wanted to bevel this, but from the start, where are the modifiers? It has no, oh, okay. From the start, it goes against the flow. You see, so if this bevel would go in their direction, it couldn't do it in this case because, as I explained before, it doesn't work. It goes like that because it follows the topology. Well, in this case, let's try to... In this case, we would have to fix it manually. We can't do it in non-destructive mode. You just have to cut those things that connect the faces on the flow of the circles in this case. So let's copy those things, run a boolean. I'll disable this wireframe thing. I'll apply this because we can do it non-destructively. So we need to fix everything that goes against the flow. We select those things, press J, it will connect those things with an edge. Then select this one and Control X to dissolve. Now this thing also goes against the flow. We can do it like this, or maybe that's too much. This would be better, depending on how big you want your bevels to be, but at this rate it's not really a big deal. It looks pretty sharp. It's pretty much the flow that you would want. This is very bad because it creates an N-gun. You see, enable that auto merge, let it be blue over there. Otherwise you would have to clean up with 4 or with merge by distance. Double G to move on the line and click there. This one is okay. It goes pretty much where you would want it to go. But this one doesn't. So snap that thing. And I guess this would be good. Yeah, looks like it goes nicely on the flow. Here, the same thing. Here you either, well, you see, you can either connect like we did before, or cut. You can snap the direction at 45 degrees only and rotate it around like that. I did it before making this tutorial while preparing it, but well, you can do it like this too. Okay, good. Now if we would add a bevel, free harden normals. What's wrong here? Oh, Yes, we limit by angle. Oh, the hardened normals took care of the work for us, but if we wouldn't do that, if we would bevel manually, I need to show you something else. We select all of those. It's easier to select with Mesh Machine, but I'm keeping it vanilla. You selected all the circles, then you Control B. The problem is that, well, there is no problem because we did shade smooth. This is embarrassing. So basically, before every one of those, you usually mark sharp and bevel weight. Oops. Oh, right, it's a slider. You just press one. And you have this dark blue thing. It's better to bevel with those because they create those sharps around the thing and doesn't let it shade smooth. I am pretty confused why it happened in the preparation but not now. But here you go, you got it here. Apply sharps for stuff that you would not want to shade smooth, even if they are inside the 30-degree mark of auto smooth. Here, so sometimes you could cut with a boolean that is not that doesn't have good faces. Yes, this means that the cut would have inverse normals. So every 3D model has orientation, a normal, which means that in video games or movies or whatever media source they are working in, you only see the front of the faces because they don't see the inside. If we would be to add a cube, the normals are all going upwards on the outside. If we try to bevel it, the bevel is quite nice, but if one face, well, Alt N to go into the normal menu, flip normal. Now it would shade pretty badly, and if we would try to bevel, it would bevel on the opposite side, because Blender thinks that the bevels are calculated based on normals, and Blender thinks the face goes there. So in that case, those faces are upside down, they shouldn't be there. Sometimes you can't see it, especially in a normal studio mode. You really can't figure out whether or not they are inverted or they are not. So you go there near the circle, click on face orientation, and you may need to make sure everything is blue. This is weird. I don't really know. Well, I guess we fixed it over there. Okay. We were at this exercise anyway. Select everything and click 4 because it's easier. That's how I do it. But if you don't want to click 4, if you don't want machine tools for some reason, click Shift N. This is only recalculation of normals. If you think you want it inverted, I don't know, or if Blender recalculates wrongly, you can click inside. And now you have all of them inside out. You don't want that. You want all of them blue. Because otherwise, if they're not blue, you would get this sort of bevels with a lot of artifacts, weird shading, this bad bevel over there. So yeah, for machine tools cleanup, or Shift N with everything selected. And for the last one, have you ever tried to run a bevel but it goes weirdly? Usually they should be the same amount on both sides of the bevel, not like this. You have it over there too. So if we press N to go into a menu, look here at scale, we would see that it is scaled free on the z-axis. We don't want to do that. This is why every time you add a new object, if you want to scale it, just go to edit mode and scale it like this on free. Don't scale it on object mode, because you would have to F3 and type apply, caps, apply rotation and scale. This means that when we select everything, stuff will be the same length on both sides. So if you ever bevel something and it goes weirdly, or if your material looks stretched up, just try to apply rotation and scale. This one isn't based on a modifier, but well, if we would keep it like this on freescale, and if we applied a bevel mod on free, angle, harden normals, smooth, auto smooth, it's easier on with an add-on called hard ops, but we don't really have it in this tutorial. And it's okay if you're a beginner and you don't have it. Learn Blender before learning add-ons. So apply rotation and scale. See the difference? It is huge. Well, this is all. I hope it helped you learn some new stuff, even if you're not a beginner. If you're an advanced user, this probably told you something new. If not, I'm sorry for wasting your time. If you run into any of those problems in the future and don't remember how to fix them, go back to this video and recheck it. Or, well, I am not the best hard surface modeler, and I don't have time or encouragement to make a lot of tutorials. I'm just doing it for friends. If you're not one of my friends, then I am glad that you found my channel. Go to YouTube, search up Rui Ponte or Josh Gambrel. They have the best hard surface modeling tutorials, especially free ones. They have paid courses too, but I learned from the free stuff because I can't afford the paid ones yet. They are great people, very friendly. They even respond to my messages on Discord and Instagram for help. Search them up. So this was everything. Whoa, we are 40 minutes in. I tried to make it a short one. Bye guys, and see you in my next tutorial.